disparity. It should be. It certainly is at the top of my list of concerns about what's going on in the sport. When I say I can't be critical of the Dodgers, they're doing what the system allows. If I'm going to be critical of something, it's not going to be the Dodgers, it's going to be the system.
He's 100% right. The Dodgers have a payroll of $392 million. The next team is the Mets at $321 million. How are the Pirates? How are the Reds? How are the Rays? How are the Marlins? Any team you want. How are you supposed to compete when a team has got 4 or 5 times your payroll? And you can sit there and say, well, why can't the Pirates spend $392 million? Well, the Dodgers get $321 million a year from TV contracts. The Pirates don't get that kind of money. So it's an inequity in the revenue stream. And that's the problem with these payrolls. Football, they all make the same amount of money. Basketball, they all make the same amount of money. That means Green Bay can win. That means the Kings can win in basketball. Hockey, same thing. Doesn't work that way in baseball. And I don't know how they're going to correct it. There's no salary cap forthcoming. Look at this payroll. Yeah. I mean, and you know what the payroll is of the Marlins? What? $43 million. Wow. How are you supposed to compete, Steve? Take the hell, help me here. 393 to 43. What's the answer?
Wow.
Well, no. But you're thinking the worst case scenario, which you just highlighted, the 393 compared to the 43. What you're not thinking about is, yes, they spend, but they also develop, and they're also opportunistic. For example, Mookie Betts, the Boston Red Sox could have paid him. They chose not to. You look at Freddie Freeman, the Atlanta Braves could have paid him. They chose not to. You look at Shohei Ohtani, the Angels didn't even try to match that. I'm simply saying that there are other teams, not many, but there are several other teams who could have paid these people and wanted to do things differently and have no hardware to show for it. You got to take that into consideration and then ask yourself this question. Let's say, for the sake of argument, that Mookie Betts was getting paid the same salary, but he was in Boston. And Freddie Freeman was getting paid the same, but he was in Atlanta. He stayed in Atlanta, okay? If you've got other players spread throughout where there are enough teams to pay somebody like that, then you can't complain. The fact is that the Dodgers have the money, but they're not the only team that have money. You said it, the Mets payroll is $320 million. The Yankees have money. The Boston Red Sox have money. Other teams have money as well. They're just choosing not to spend and go for it. That's on them. So move the hell out the way and get some new owners in there that's willing to spend.
Yeah, well, Steve, you got 32 teams. They all can't spend that kind of money.
I said they all can't, but I'm talking about if we saw the talent spread out, let's say for the sake of argument, Doggy, that 10 different teams had high payrolls, over $250 to $300 million, and they were spending money. But the talent was spread out, it would be different. These dudes are choosing to come to Los Angeles because they like the way the Dodgers do business. It's not just that the Dodgers are spending, it's the way they do business. They're spending, but they're also developing, and they're building something. And a lot of these teams aren't doing that. It's not they're not just buying talent. They're developing it. And they're opportunistic with what they're doing.
But Stephen A., that monetary discrepancy.
Yeah, that's not good for sports, Steve.
I agree with that, too. Two things can be true. That discrepancy, you're absolutely right. But I'm talking about there's not one team, there's not even 3 teams in Major League Baseball that could spend that kind of money. There's several teams that could spend. They're choosing not to. If the Dodgers capitalize off of this on them.
$43 million?
That's correct. And if you're the Pirates, here's what I would say. If you're the owner of the Pirates, hold it out. You want me to spend more money? All right, I'll get my payroll up to $150 million. I'm still $230 million behind the Dodgers. What's the point?
You have no shot. You're so far behind the 8 ball.
It makes it very difficult.
Yeah.
And that's the problem that the sport has had forever, and they can't fix it. Football doesn't have it. NBA doesn't have it. NHL doesn't have it. Baseball does.
The way it is, baseball will go out of business if this continues. So I'm not disagreeing with y'all. I'm just simply pointing out that there's several teams that could have spent the money and chose not to.
No, and you're right.
And the Dodgers stockpile.
No.
Right.
And you're 100%.
We agree with that.
You're 100% right about that.
And by the way, there hasn't been back-to-back champions since the early 2000s.
Yeah, but the Dodgers win the playoffs every year, though. The Dodgers.
Let's go to baseball storylines. The automated ball strike challenge, and that system is coming up soon in the spring. What more can it tell us on how this is going to play out in spring training?
Kevin, robot umpires are finally here at the big league level, and they're going to be tested in spring training this year. But this is something that's been happening in the minor leagues over the last half decade. They put in this system that uses camera technology to track a ball within 1 millimeter of its actual location. And rather than have the system call all balls and strikes, what Major League Baseball is trying to do this spring is to test out a challenge system where each team gets 2 challenges per game. Either the hitter, the pitcher, or the catcher can call for them. And it's very simple. They go like this. Tap the top of their head, and within 10 seconds, the pitch goes up on the Jumbotron at the stadium, and the result is either a confirmed pitch or it is overturned. And if you challenge correctly, just like in the NFL, you get to keep your challenges. The reality is this is likely to be in place by 2026 at the big league level if the testing, Kevin, goes well.
I really like this, but I want more than 2 challenges. Commissioner Rob Manfred spoke to reporters this week about a number of topics, including the potential for a salary cap given the Dodgers spending this offseason. Let's take a listen.
I think that disparity, it should be, it certainly is at the top of my list of concerns about what's going on in the sport. You know, when I say I can't be critical of the Dodgers, they're doing what the system allows. If I'm going to be critical of something, it's not going to be the Dodgers, it's going to be the system.
That is fair. And what's the sentiment around the entire league on what the Dodgers have done, spending money-wise, deferring money this offseason as well as last offseason?
Kevin, what the Dodgers are doing is within the constraints of the collective bargaining agreement, and that's why nobody can really complain beyond just the fact that the Dodgers are owned by the Guggenheim Company that has billions and billions and billions of dollars more money than owners of some other teams, and they're taking advantage of that. It's not just the deferred money, it's the money they're putting into signing bonuses. It's the fact that they can pay guys more than other teams are willing to, and this is a fundamental issue with Major League Baseball that goes back decades. The problem is, number one, we don't know that a salary cap would solve this. There are other capped leagues in sports, and those capped leagues, some of them do not have the parity that Major League Baseball does, but it's really the feeling of not being able to compete that is harming these teams and harming fan bases more than anything. And it's something that over the next couple years, as the collective bargaining agreement expires after the 2026 season, we're going to have to keep an eye on, because the future of baseball, Kevin, is going to depend on how they figure this out.
Jeff Passan, the man could do it all, and no safety cones were damaged during this segment. Jeff, thank you so much.
So the last thing I'm going to do is be in my own way to go shine, or whatever word it is. Maybe not shine.
Shine works.
I'm not going to. I'll be damned if I let myself beat myself up on this.
Playing in practice, it's really giving you the opportunity to test how far you've come.
Yeah, for sure. For sure, I think so. But again, it's practice, and it's important for me to know I go out there and I'm going to do everything to be successful. I think I'll be perfectly fine. But if something doesn't go well, I can't let any outside noise, anybody, or anything understand, or let anything get in my way of understanding that it's a process. I'm maybe not good right now. I could be good right now, I don't know. But it's a process, and I need to enjoy the journey of it.
How do you change situations versus the work you've done with drills? How does it kind of change your mindset?
It doesn't. It doesn't. If you train like it's the game all the time, you mentally prepare like it's the game all the time. That's a game you have to play within yourself. If you do that, then when the game comes, you're essentially doing the same thing over and over again. And so, again, I believe that I've trained properly.
Mookie, how do you balance the internal work you're doing and then also being a leader in this clubhouse at the same time?
Just got to do it. Just got to figure it out. I don't know. But it's kind of the cards I was dealt. It's what God has blessed me with, the ability to be a quote-unquote leader and perform. And so I'm really just doing God's work.
Do I need to go back and watch the prank show?
No, you don't. No. You don't need to go back. But that's a glimpse of hopefully 8-9 years from now.
Your production company involved?
Yeah. Just a part of preparing for the inevitable, and that's hanging up the cleats.
I don't know if this is too personal, but what did you learn about yourself this off season?
I mean, I'm not sure yet. I think regarding baseball, I'm not sure yet. I know I've trained, I've prepared, I've done any and everything I can to be successful. And so I know for sure I'm going to lay it all out there on the line, and I will be more than happy going to sleep at night knowing that I prepared and did everything possible to be successful to play shortstop.
What about as a human?
As a human, I really learned to give myself grace. To give myself grace and understanding that when I first started in November, and I use shortstop because it applies to this process of learning shortstop has really applied to life for me. And you know, at first I was not good when I first started in November. I mean, still had a throwing problem, still wasn't fielding it right, and I gave myself grace. My wife actually the one that told me to give myself grace, be patient with yourself. And I just stuck with it. I stuck with the process over and over again, and now I'm very confident in who I am, what I can do in all facets of life, and the most important thing is I do give myself grace if I'm not successful.
Last one, guys.
Thank you, Mookie.
これからもドジャースの戦いに注目し続けていこう。ロサンゼルス、ドジャースの大谷翔平選手が驚異的な回復を見せている。今シーズンの二刀流復帰を目指し、リハビリを続ける大谷選手だが、ついにブルペンでの投球練習を再開し、その仕上がりにチーム内外から大きな注目が集まっている。アメリカのメディア、ドジャース、ネーションが報じたところによると、2月15日、日本時間16日に行われたブルペン投球では、14球を投げ、最速151キロを記録。これは、つい数ヶ月前に左肩の手術を受けたばかりの選手とは思えない回復ぶりだ。実は、2024年11月に投球とは関係のない左肩の手術を受けたことで、バランスや投球フォームに影響が出るのではと懸念する声が少なくなかった。特にこれまで投手としても圧倒的な成績を残してきた大谷にとってフォームの安定性は非常に重要な要素だ。そのため一部の専門家からは以前のようなスムーズな投球動作を取り戻せるのか、投球の際に微妙な違和感が生じる可能性はないのかといった疑問も上がっていた。しかし今回のブルペン投球を見たマーク・プライヤー投手コーチはその驚きと喜びを隠せなかったようだ。練習後のインタビューでは、左肩の手術を受けたなんて信じられない。調子が落ちているようには見えない。確かに投球肩ではないが、少なくとも見た限りでは影響は感じられない。と語っている。これは、ドジャースの首脳陣にとっても朗報だ。手術の影響を全く感じさせない姿は、今後の復帰計画にも大きな自信を与えるものとなるだろう。また、チームメイトたちも大谷の回復ぶりに感嘆の声を上げている。特に彼の努力を間近で見てきた選手たちにとってわずか数ヶ月でここまで仕上げてきたことは驚異的に映るはずだ。大谷の存在はドジャースにとって単なるスター選手ではなく、チームの士気を高める象徴的な存在でもある。彼のひたむきな努力が他の選手たちにとっても大きな刺激となっているのは間違いない。このニュースに対しファンの期待もますます高まっている。もし大谷が予定よりも早く投手としての復帰を果たした場合、ドジャースにとっては計り知れないほどの戦力強化となる。すでに強力な打線を誇るチームに投手としての大谷翔平が加わることで戦力バランスはさらに向上し、ナショナルリーグの覇権争いにおいて大きなアドバンテージを得ることになるだろう。昨シーズン大谷はエンゼルスでプレーしながらも右肘の負傷により投手としての登板を途中で断念せざるを得なかった。それにもかかわらず打者としては圧巻の成績を残し、2度目のアメリカンリーグ MVP を獲得するという快挙を成し遂げた。彼が持つ規格外の才能と努力の積み重ねは野球界全体に大きな衝撃を与え続けている。そして今新天地ドジャースで新たな歴史を刻もうとしている。このまま順調に回復が進めば今シーズン中の二刀流復活も現実的なシナリオとなる。もちろんチームとしては慎重に進めていく必要があるが、大谷の回復スピードを見る限り予想よりも早い段階での復帰も十分にあり得る。今後のスプリングトレーニング、さらにはシーズン開幕後の動向にますます目が離せない。あなたは大谷翔平の投手復帰についてどう思いますか？彼がいつ頃マウンドに戻ると予想しますか？ぜひコメント欄で意見を聞かせてください。そしてこのチャンネルでは大谷翔平やドジャースの最新情報をどこよりも早くお届けしています。チャンネル登録をして今後のアップデートもお見逃しなく。ドジャースの2024年シーズンはまだまだ驚きと感動の連続になりそうです。共に応援していきましょう。